What is Land Use Act? What do you understand by this word Land Use Act? It's a law made by the Federal Republic of Nigeria in the year 1978, and this law regulates the administration of estates in Nigeria. It vested all the land in the territory of the state on the state governor, and the state governor is holding the property in trust for the people of that state. Whether you are a property developer, a property buyer, investor, or landowner, anybody desirous of vesting their energy in real estate practice in Nigeria must have knowledge about the Land Use Act. It's a very significant law that you need to understand the implications and what it says concerning the administration of lands in Nigeria. You need to understand that this law has vested the land in the governor of the state, and the lands in the urban areas, the ones in rural areas, to the local government authorities. Now, before the enactment of this Land Use Act, which is the primary laws that govern the land administration, then we are having a customary law tenure system. So customary laws are being the ones regulating the system of administration of land in the state. Then we used to have a land of inheritance, free, what we call freehold land. Then before the enactment of this Land Use Act, because the Land Use Act has extinguished what is called freehold. Whenever you are buying a property, you have it in mind that what you are buying, you are only buying occupation. You are not buying ownership again. The ownership cannot be vested in you again. So the only thing you can have is equitable ownership, but legal ownership can always transfer from A to B only with the consent of the governor of the state, and that governor of the state has the reversionary interest over that land. And for you to know that, you know that what you have is occupants. So you have a way, by way of a right of occupants, to occupy that particular plot of land for a specific period of time, which is usually 99 years. So you need to understand all these things. And now, having understood all these things, you'll be asking yourself, what are the key provisions in this Land Use Act? Now, I want to point out all the things you need to know, particularly things that affect us. Because one is that Land Use Act, you need to know, how does it affect you? You and I, you want to buy property, you're a property owner, you are a landlord, you are an investor, you're a property developer. How does this law affect us? You need to understand this thing now. Now, number one is that the land ownership and control. You need to understand that. Number one, because this law, the military regime, they tend to use this to control the land, because then they were having a difficulties in acquiring lands for public use. Then if you want to acquire lands, you have to start consulting, start meeting the family owners. Then, but as a result of that challenges, the government were having difficulties in getting land for public use, so they decided to enact Land Use Act to have absolute control, and this land has vested the land in the state to the governor of the state, and who holds that in trust for the members of the state. So no individual can own an outright right over a land. Instead, people are getting a grant of a statutory and customary right of occupancy. So you need to understand that the only thing the government will do for you is to grant you the right of occupancy for 99 years. Yes. So now, that's another thing you need to know about this Land Use Act, is that this Land Use Act brings about what it calls C of O. Most of you have been hearing C of O, but you don't know how it came about. C of O came out as a result of Land Use Act. So when Land Use Act came up and vested the land in the state governor, now the state governor will now grant you statutory right of occupancy, so, and issue you a certificate. So that certificate they are going to issue to you is what is called certificate of occupancy, C of O. Simple. It's an evidence to prove that yes, you have the right to occupy this piece of land for a specific period of time, and you need to understand that usually for 99 years. This certificate is very vital for proving ownership of property. in Nigeria and conducting a real estate transactions, he must also look at all these things because it's a root of title. Now, after this after this CFO, now what next? Most of us have been wondering, governor consent, what does it mean? Now, this governor consent also comes out as a result of this Land Use Act. It came out as a result of Land Use Act because by virtue of that section 1, the land of the state has been vested on the governor, and by virtue of the section 22 of this Land Use Act made it compulsory that any alienation of the legal interest in the property must be able to sought and obtain the consent of the governor. Now, what does it imply? Now, the implication there is that if you buy a property and you don't have governor consent on that property, now a deed of assignment, if you check your deed of assignment, deed of conveyance or whatever, you look at underneath the last letter on that deed, you will say, I hereby consent to this transaction herein contained blah blah blah, the state governor of the state sign, attorney general or whomever, commissioner designated for that. Now, if you don't see any signature on that part, please take notes. I repeat and I repeat again, whenever you pick up a deed of assignment that you want to buy a property and they present you a deed of assignment, look at that last page. Look at that last page. If it's not there, if you don't see consent of the governor there, have it in mind that that document is invalid. Take note of that. Then you now start have to go back to the person that has the right of occupancy. So you need to know that that's how governor consent comes about. Now, this governor consent can be on any subsequent transaction on a property after the CFO. Most of you are wondering what is different between governor consent and CFO. Now, let me explain to you. It's a very simple thing. Now, if you buy a property or acquire a property from family or whomever, or even you are the family owners, you inherited this land, you go to government to get certificate of occupancy. That's what you have is statutory right of occupancy for that 99 years. Now, that 99 years we start counting from that year that they have given you the right to occupy that place. It's just like tenants. Now, if you now sell that property to Mr. B, now Mr. B is going to acquire unexpired residue of that property. Now, what is unexpired residue? The interest in that land, the years that has not been expired, the remaining years that is what you are going to transfer to whomever that's buying that property. Now, transferring that, the person will go back to the state governor by way of presenting the deed of assignment or deed of conveyancing, depending on the jurisdiction, and the governor will sign that. You pass through 3 processes, which is governor consent, stamp duty, and registration, and that's what is called perfection of title document. And this thing is as a result of this Land Use Act. Now, let me tell you one major problem with this Land Use Act. It cannot be amended, though. Nobody can amend. No, in fact, government cannot amend it until they go back to the constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and amend the constitution and expunge the Land Use Act from the constitution. Otherwise, they cannot amend it, and that's why it has been there since 1978. Even all the lacunas, all the challenges in these laws that are affecting the real estate operations in Nigeria. So all these things you need to understand that. Now, what other things do you need to understand about this Land Use Act in Nigeria? The next one is land allocation. Now, you hear that government acquisition. Now, let me tell you one thing you need to know. If you are buying land and you are more keen to land along the expressway, highways, please note that most state government has acquired all the land, like 2 kilometers, some acquiring 2 kilometers, some acquiring 1.5 kilometers away from the federal highway, just like Lagos-Ibadan expressway. Lagos-Ibadan expressway has been acquired 2 kilometers away, left and right. So if you are buying a property there, let's say for instance you are buying a property like Lagos, Mowe, Ibafo, Maboro, Isheri North, Arepo, and so on and so forth down to the end of Ogun State. Ogun State government has acquired those land. The same thing goes with Shagamu Abeokuta Expressway. They have acquired a wide range of that land. The same way with Ogijo Ikorodu highway. All these areas, you need to know that the land government has acquired this thing. Now, when government acquire this, then you approach government by way of applying for ratification so that they will allocate a portion for you. Now, that's another way the government can allocate land. Then another way is that they have some of their land in some areas. They allocate it to individuals. You just go there, buy, pay money, and they allocate it. And this thing, they allocate it to individuals, corporate bodies, and the organization, NGOs, whichever one, for residential purpose, for commercial purpose, for industrial purpose, for agricultural purpose. Now, you need to understand that which of these purposes, some areas that have mapped for agricultural purpose, if you go there and say you want to build a estate, you will not get approval. Please take note of this thing now. That's why I'm taking my time to make this video to enlighten my audience to know some certain things about this Land Use Act. It's a very powerful law that was made by the military regime then. So it started as a land use decree. From there now they promulgated so many things into it, and now that's what we are facing. So please take note of that this Land Use Act has made government that they can allocate. So they allocate to you, then from there now they can give you a concept. Now they are doing what is called a cession and gazetted land. It's still a process of allocation when government take part of their land and then leave the remaining part of it in such a way you have a cession and you have the gazetted title. So all these things now, once it has been gazetted, government has given you that land, but they have taken their part. From now their own part, they will still allocate it to you. That even the family owners, so if you go to Ibejuleki, you see a lot of things. Government has acquired so many parts of that land. If the same thing with Epe, if you are buying land in Epe and you don't have a lawyer to conduct a due diligence, sorry is going to be the next thing that I will say to you. So please make sure that you do a proper due diligence. Consult a lawyer. I always advise that. There are lawyers everywhere now. This internet has made it easier that you can get a lawyer on YouTube, you can get a lawyer on Instagram, you can get a lawyer on Facebook, you can get a lawyer from Google Business Profile. Anywhere, once you type on the internet, property lawyer or a lawyer or whatever, legal advice, legal whatever, you get a lawyer that will guide you. So it's not the time you'll be wondering, I don't know anything. When you see a lawyer there, read the profile and find out whether this, yes, if this one resonates with your mind and heart, then you go by that person. You can consult as many lawyers as possible and make your choice on who to do that. But don't go and buy a property without having a lawyer. I will advise it's just like a suicide mission that has not been planned. So now the next thing you need to think about this Land Use Act is now the revocation of rights. Have you thought about the revocation of rights of occupants by the virtue of Section 28 of the Land Use Act? Section 28 of the Land Use Act empowers the government to revoke the right of occupants for public use. Now, that land that you feel that you have certificate of occupants, government can wake up and decide to just go there and revoke. But the one thing is that government cannot just come and revoke your small portion of land. They are going to revoke an entire area, a large expanse of land for a public use. And once they do that, they are going to pass procedures. And if government fail to pass those procedures, you can sue them. You can sue government and claim damages and even get court order to reverse that. So note that court is another instrument that you can still use against government. So, but they must pass due process for them to get revocation of the right of occupants. So when they revoke it, what does it imply? That your certificate of occupants is invalid. So when you are thinking of certificate of occupants, you are certificate. When somebody presents to you, one of my clients then bought a property. He bought a property because he saw the property it was very cheap. When they start giving you cheap article, be very careful. That's one thing I always advise my clients. Now, because they presented the certificate of occupants, One, he did not verify to see, yes, this certificate of occupancy is still valid. He should not check the lands. Only for him to go, okay, now he went online to consult me to conduct to carry out perfection of title to get me to get C of O. And then asked, where is the CTC of the root title? He does not have the CTC. He was asking me, what is the root title? I say, okay, no, the document that they gave to you, what document, what about the C of O? He brought the C of O. I said, did you verify that? Did you obtain certified true copy? I say, no, they just gave it. And I say, no, let us apply for this. At the end of the day, we find out that they have revoked the right of occupancy of that area. What does it imply? My man, money don't enter voicemail. My brother, my sister, I would not like you to enter like that. Please be very careful about that, because government has that right to revoke the right of occupancy, and it will extinguish the interest you have in that land, and because they are meant to use it for public use. Now, what other thing that you need to know about this Land Use Act? Urban and non-urban land. Have you heard about urban and non? But Lagos State government has declared entire territory of the state as an urban area. So those urban areas are what we call township. So everywhere in Lagos State is township. The same thing goes with some other states like FCTs, Abuja. They are everywhere there is urban. Now, you need to know that rural areas are land administered by the local government authorities. So whenever you are doing something like, and they don't have a central database system. So if you want to buy land that is under the rural area, you need to conduct a proper due diligence. In fact, if you don't know how to do that, start from the king of that community. Start making investigation from there to know the head of the family there. Then from the head of family, you know the principal members of the family, and you verify and ensure that all of them has consent that you sell, and they have not sold out property to one Mr. A or B then before you. So you need to understand all these things are very important about this Land Use Act. Now, as I said, but let me tell you, before I further this thing, I want to let you know that this my channel is specially dedicated for those interested in real estate and those that want to guide themselves, protect their investment with the knowledge of law guiding the real estate practice in Nigeria. This my channel is not for everybody. Please, I always say it's not for everybody. I'm not making it for everybody to come and be clicking and be getting and did not monetize it. But one thing I want to let you know that is for information, is to educate my audience. If you call me and ask some question, I will just send you video to enlighten you. So all these things are going to guide you. If you have not subscribed to this my YouTube channel, please do so by clicking on the subscription button, and also click on the notification bell so that you'll be able to get every of the video that I present anytime I present that, and also share it with your loved ones, especially Nigerians in diaspora. I'm always pitying Nigerians in diaspora because the way they have been duped and the way people are doing in fact, they will go and say inside bush and tell them that this land is 5 kilometers to the airport. This one now 10 few minutes drive to Dangote refinery. This one, you will think that you stand in your land and you will be seeing Dangote refinery. You will know that in fact kilometers away. My brother, my sister, you need to understand that. Now, how does the Land Use Act affect you? How does it affect me? How does Land Use Act affect both of us? Now, you need to understand that whether you're a prospective landowner, a real estate investor, or a property developer, or whether you're a tenant, because if you're a tenant today, tomorrow you own a property. Most landlords today, they were tenant there. Now, Land Use Act has a very significant impact on your rights and obligation regarding land transaction and ownership. You need to understand this fact. And there's nothing you can do about this at all. And below are several acts that also can affect this. Now, so many things that, what are the things that won't this Land Use Act can affect? How does it affect now? I will start mentioning the number one is property acquisition. When you want to buy property in Nigeria, you start thinking, how do I go about it? How do I go? There's a lot of things now. You start thinking, now, having to in mind that you want to buy property in Nigeria, you need to understand that This land use act is not something you overlook, and the only way you can understand this land use act is engage a lawyer. Engage a lawyer, and possibly engage a lawyer that is into property law practice. They have different areas of law practice. They have people that specialize in property law. They have people that specialize in maritime, oil and gas, banking, all these things. Now, if you have to understand it, you will need to secure a certificate of occupancy. If you don't have it, make sure that you go and perfect your title document. If the property already have a certificate of occupancy, make sure that you are perfect your title by getting a governor consent. It's very important that you do that. Now, what are the other things you need to understand? Now, real estate investment. This law affects real estate investment. The Land Use Act, it influences all decisions in property investment, whether they want to give loan or this, whether you are an investor. It's very important that you understand that having this knowledge about this Land Use Act will help you to navigate and know how to invest, so that you will not mistakenly invest in the wrong place. Where they have a zone, agricultural zone, you go there and be investing for real estate. Don't make mistake where they have map out as a commercial zone. You go there now and be investing for agriculture. Please, it's very important that you understand all this. Now, another thing that this Land Use Act affect is development of buildings, building projects. So real estate development, building projects in Nigeria is affected. Before developing any land, you must ensure that the land is properly allocated, and that your rights are secured under the acts. Please take note of that. I feel pain when people are just buying land, they don't do anything, they just start building. Please, if you are built, or you are about to start building and you have not perfected your title document, please go and do that. It's very important that you do that. So failing to obtain a proper documentation and consent could result in a lot of problems for you. It can result to revocation, it can result to demolition. Why would you now allow yourself to that your hard-earned money now for them to demolish your property? You see that they are demolishing properties in FCT, in Abuja, in Lagos State, in Ogun State, in River State. In every part of state, they demolish properties. And do you know one of the thing now? Let me tell you one thing now. Most governments need money. Government needs money. So if you don't comply, it's even advantage to government if you don't know. So, but they don't want you to fail to comply. They want you to comply. But when you feel that you are that man, you are stubborn, you don't want to do it, they are waiting for you, because when they come and they will demolish one or two beside your own, by that time you wake up and start perfecting your title document straight away. You start paying, and by that time it will not be late. They will now governments, please obey government, obey the government of your state. So very important that you need to know that. Now, mortgage and the financing. Now, this Land Use Act influences mortgage. You see, bank cannot give you any loan if you don't have root of title. Now, anytime you see, that's why you see people buying property with loan facility. It's not every property. Tell your wife, most husbands that want to buy property, their wife will be looking, I like this house, I like this one is very fine. No, my dear, calm down. That's what I will tell you. The honest truth is that when you are buying property, when you are buying with a mortgage facility, if you have a mortgage offer, you are not going to be buying what you like, or you buy what can go in line with mortgage package, because mortgage package must go with a property that has a proper root of title. So if you know all these things, you know that governments, banks, financial institutions, whomever that will be packaging the mortgage for you now want you to use it as a collateral, and they will do a legal mortgage so that it will enable them to sell the property easily when you fail to pay them their money. So please take note of that. Now, the another thing in the land tenure system, security, landowners and tenants must understand that while the Act grants the right of occupancy, and the right is not absolute. You need to understand that right is not absolute. The right of occupancy is for 99 years, maximum you can get it. Now, it has a reversionary interest that go back to the government. Government will decide on what they listen. The government will retain the power to revoke this land rights at any time for the public purpose. So you need to understand that. So therefore, securing proper title document is very important, and complying with the land use regulation is very crucial. You need to understand that now for you to safeguard your interest in property. If not, my dear, that property you feel that you own, one day it becomes somebody's property. So one day you may become government, and it's not your wish. It's not my wish for you. It's not the wish of any enemy. So don't see anybody as the enemy, but see yourself as someone who can take the rightful decision that can help you to navigate the path. Now, the importance of legal due diligence in land property transaction. I always tell people this: don't buy property first before doing due diligence. A lot of buyers are like that. I've met so many buyers that they have already paid for the property before conducting due diligence. Please engage your lawyer to start the due diligence before you make payments. It's very important that navigating the complexity of the Land Use Act requires a very careful legal due diligence. You need to understand that whether you are buying land for residential purpose, whether you are buying for commercial purpose, whether in a small scale, whether in a large scale, whether for property development, whether you are buying to resell in future, it is advisable to engage a professional such as property lawyers. Engage a property lawyer is very important. There are so many of them on the internet. Now, real estate consultancy has already proven that most of the problem that you see in property transaction is as a result of lack of due diligence. It's very important that you know all these things. Now, that will help you to navigate the path. When you consult a professional will do the professional job for you and give you a report on whether to go ahead or not. Otherwise, you will just make mistake. Now, final thoughts. What have you learned from this? What questions is going on in your mind? Ask me. If I'm you, I'll be thinking, I need to know more about this Land Use Act. I need to know more about property law in Nigeria. I need to know more to protect my interest. If you're a property developer, if you're a property investor, if you are desirous of buying and reselling property, and now you don't have all it takes for you to understand this in now with all the contents on the internet, blogs, vlogs, and whatever, all the books, please, my dear, I beg you to try and read. The Land Use Act continues to be one of the most important law governing land use and ownership in Nigeria, and it will continue until they change the 1999 constitution. If not, it will continue because it's a major legal framework that governs the management of land, administration of land, and this land, it creates obligations and limitations on how you can use your land. So you need to understand that how you can use your land is not even absolute, because sometimes you may buy land, you may end up finding out that land is meant for agricultural purpose. You want to build a project, a residential building there, and they will not permit you. They won't give you permission. So all these things you need to understand that. Now, all these things I want you to understand that. Please engage experts. Please do not engage quack, and be careful about cheap articles. Be careful about when they say distress sale. Anytime they are saying distress sale, I see it as a scam language. Scam language that they want to use it to influence you. That distress sale, you think that they don't have neighbors. They don't have neighbors that want to buy. So please, I don't want you to make mistake. If you are interested in learning more about property law or real estate investment, or you need an assistant with the land transactions, feel free to stay tuned with my channel. I'm going to educate you. I'm going to enlighten you. You are going to get legal expert knowledge in this channel. You can drop your comments in the comment section. I will always respond to you. I and my team are there making sure that things goes well. If you want to buy property and you don't know how to go about it, drop a question, we can guide you. Any location, any part of Nigeria, we are going to guide you. I personally, I specialize in real estate law practice. So it's my choice, even though my law firm is a general legal practice law firm. We have other areas of practice, but I personally is a passionate property lawyer, and that's why I say I take my time every week to come here and make presentations, and those presentations are things that are very important. Please do not buy property without conducting a due diligence, and after the due diligence, please make sure that you tidy your conveyancing documents well. Conveyancing documents is document that verify your legal title, and after that, please perfect your title document, get your C of O, get your governor consent, do everything possible to register your title, to have a verifiable title number that you can actually give out for anybody to go and verify with government. Please, I wish you all the best. I thank you for staying to the end of this video, and I believe that the next episode of this video is going to be amazing. It's going to be wonderful, and I want you to stay tuned to the YouTube channel. If you have not subscribed, if this is your first time of watching my YouTube channel, please do so by subscribing, do so by clicking on the notification bell, and also share to your loved ones. Thank you so much for watching, and I wish you all the best. Bye for now. See you in my next episode.